Most people think you have to beg to be loved, that you need to chase, prove, explain, or even suffer just to be kept around. But what if I told you that the most powerful way to make someone regret losing you is silence? Not the angry kind, not the cold shoulder, but a strategic, graceful, quiet kind of absence. One that slowly wakes them up. Not through words, but through behavior, through presence, through self-respect. This video isn't about mind games. It's about emotional intelligence. You're going to learn how to make anyone, friend, lover, ex, feel the weight of your absence and realize your worth without a single confrontation. Let's begin. Step 1. Quiet energy withdrawal. Let's get something straight. You don't make someone miss you by disappearing overnight. That's a tantrum, and people see through that instantly. Real influence comes from quiet, gradual shifts. Here's how it works. If you text them every morning, you start texting every few days. If you used to be instantly available, now you respond when it suits you. If your days once revolved around them, now they revolve around your goals, your peace, your purpose. Not because you're angry, not because you're playing games, but because your focus has returned to where it belongs, you. This isn't about cutting them off. You're still present. You're still kind. But your emotional weight? It's lighter, more selective. And this difference creates confusion. The kind that makes them question. What changed? Why does it feel different? Why do I feel them slipping? You didn't say anything, but your silence says everything. You've just planted the seed of regret. Step 2. Mirror their energy, not their words. The next tool is mirroring. And it's one of the most powerful psychologically moves you'll ever use. See, people say a lot of things, but what matters is what they do. So don't mirror what they say, mirror what they show. If they're warm, be warm. If they're cold, don't try to warm them up. Just match it. Not out of pettiness, out of dignity. This is how self-respecting people operate. They don't chase confusion. They don't negotiate their worth. They observe, then reflect. And the beauty of mirroring is this. You never have to explain it. You're simply giving people a taste of their own energy. And when someone sees their own indifference mirrored back at them, they don't get angry. They get curious. And eventually, they get reflective. They start realizing you're not just anyone. You're someone who pays attention, someone who won't be emotionally manipulated, someone who knows their worth. And that's when the shift begins.
Step 3. The power of emotional absence. Let's be honest. The world is noisy. People talk constantly. They overshare. They over-explain. And in that chaos, real presence becomes rare. So when you start pulling your emotional energy away, not your physical presence, not your voice, but your emotional availability, people notice. Suddenly, they can't feel you like they used to. The warmth you once gave so freely now has a thermostat. And this isn't cruelty. It's emotional boundaries. Because love without boundaries isn't love. It's self-destruction. You are no longer their emotional sponge. You are no longer the one who absorbs every shift in their mood, responds to every silent treatment, chases every distant reply. Now your emotions are guarded. Your attention is earned, and your peace is non-negotiable. This withdrawal creates space. Space leads to reflection, and reflection leads to regret. You don't need a fight. You just need emotional clarity. Step 4. Don't fill the silence. Let it echo. Here's what most people do wrong. When someone grows distant, they panic. They text more. They ask questions. They try to fix things. They fill the silence. But silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. When you allow silence to sit, it becomes the loudest teacher. In that quiet, the other person starts to feel your absence, not just your words, but your energy, your attention, your presence. They notice the missing good morning. They notice the missed call that never came. They notice the way their phone used to light up, and now it doesn't. And they don't miss you for what you said. They miss how you made them feel. But that only happens when you're brave enough to let silence speak. So next time you want to reach out, pause. Let the silence echo. Let it sting. That's where the regret grows.
Step 5. Become deeply unavailable emotionally, but fully alive personally. Here's a hard truth. People don't value what they can always reach. They value what they can't replace. So while you're emotionally withdrawing, you're also doing something else. You're living, you're building, you're laughing, you're glowing. And not performatively, not to prove a point, but because you've realized that life is too short to be defined by someone else's absence. You stop waiting. You stop wondering. You stop needing their recognition to feel alive. You reconnect with your friends. You try new things. You become harder to access, not because you're playing games, but because you're genuinely busy creating a life that doesn't revolve around them. And from their side, it hits differently, because while they're debating how they feel about you, you're evolving. And that evolution, that's what hurts the most. Step 6. Silent status upgrade. You've probably heard the phrase, level up in silence. But here's the next level of that. Let them witness your transformation without access to it. You don't need to announce your glow up. You don't need to prove anything. You just quietly rise. You read more. You speak differently. You hold yourself with confidence. Your energy is calm, self-contained, powerful. You stop needing to be chosen because you've already chosen yourself. You've upgraded your standards, your habits, your lifestyle, not out of spite, not out of revenge, but out of love for yourself. And when someone watches your upgrade from the outside, knowing they once had a front row seat to your life, that's when regret hits. Not because you said, "Look at me now," but because your growth speaks louder than anything you could have posted or texted. You've become a version of yourself they no longer deserve access to. Step 7. Subtle competition, but with class. Let's talk about the psychology of competition. Humans crave what others admire. We're wired to value what is in demand. But this isn't about making them jealous. It's about reframing your value through the eyes of the world. Here's how. You surround yourself with people who see your worth. You mention positive experiences with others, subtly, without intention to provoke. You let them overhear, not be told, that others find you attractive, funny, or inspiring. And what does this do? It creates invisible pressure. Suddenly, you're not just someone who loved them. You're someone who is loved, period. And if they don't step up, someone else will. That's not a threat. That's life. So let them feel the shift. Let them sense that you are wanted, even if you never say it directly. That pressure, It breaks their comfort, and that break invites regret. Step 8. Closure isn't yours to chase. If they walked away without an explanation, let them. If they gave you half love, mixed signals, or emotional breadcrumbs, let it end there. Stop needing closure. Stop demanding clarity. Because real closure comes from choosing not to reopen the door. When you stop seeking answers, you find peace. They may come back one day with an apology. They may try to reconnect once they realize what they lost. But you're no longer at the door waiting. You've moved on. And that kind of calm, that's more powerful than any "we need to talk" moment you imagined. Sometimes the best closure is a quiet life well lived. Final step. Always be the one who can walk away. The person who holds power in a relationship isn't the one who talks the most. It's the one who can walk away the easiest. And walking away doesn't mean disappearing. It means emotionally detaching from anything that insults your soul. It means being willing to let go of inconsistency, confusion, half-love, delayed replies, one-sided effort. Because you know this, you are not hard to love. You're just done settling for people who don't know how to love you back. So here's what you do from here. Withdraw quietly. Mirror respectfully. Guard your emotions. Don't fill the silence. Live fully. Upgrade silently. Let competition happen naturally. Never chase closure. Always be ready to walk away. Not because you don't care, but because you finally learned how to care about yourself more. Final message. If someone let you go, let them go further. If someone made you question your worth, never give them the power to define it again. You don't need to beg. You don't need to fight. You don't even need to explain. Your evolution will say everything. And one day, they'll look at you from a distance and realize they lost someone unforgettable, someone rare, someone they'll never meet again. All because you mastered the art of loving without losing yourself.